Please take your seats. Good evening and welcome to the 15th EURORDIS Black Pearl Awards. I'm Carrie Grant and I'm pleased to be hosting and guiding you through this very special evening. Following the tremendous success of last year's celebration, EURORDIS is proud to present the fourth fully hybrid edition of the awards, coming to you live from the beautiful Cardo Brussels autograph collection and streamed simultaneously on a highly interactive online platform. Now, I've had the honour of hosting these Black Pearl Awards for the last 9 years. Yeah, they keep having me back for some reason. And every single time, I'm truly amazed by the resilience, the passion and extraordinary achievements of the rare disease community. I've no doubt that this evening it will be just as powerful and inspiring. For those of you who don't know me or my connection, I'm really passionate about the rare disease community through my work as a patient advocate. I have Crohn's disease, and for 40 years ago, when I was first diagnosed, it was kind of like a rare disease. People didn't know what it was very hard to diagnose, and the treatments were really brutal back then. But it gave me a passion to see change, and then I became very involved in the special educational needs and disability community. And I see firsthand the difference it makes when we gather together, we make community, we create pressure, and we demand change. It really works. So it is an absolute pleasure to be here this evening. Now, before we start welcoming more guests onto the stage, we'd love to hear from you. Those of you who are joining us online, those 3 cameras at the back are our online people. We might want to wave at them. I don't know if we can see them. There are lots of people joining us online. Please introduce yourselves to us and let us know where you're connecting from, your link to the rare disease community, and what you're most looking forward to this evening. For everyone here in the room, you can also join in the conversation, so do pick up your phones, use our online QR code that you can see there on the screen. I'll be sharing some of your messages later on, and I'll be working closely with our audio-visual team to keep you connected throughout the ceremony. Now, before we start the awards, it's my pleasure to invite to the stage the President of EURORDIS. Please welcome Avril Daly.
Good evening, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, we're absolutely delighted that you could join us once again in Brussels for the Black Pearl Gala 2026. We know that there's many of you here in the audience, but there's also many of our members and supporters at home, and I just want to take the opportunity to thank you very much. We know that you're not here in person, but we feel you here in spirit, and that's very important to us in our community. So 2026, right? It's been an interesting year so far, and it's been a year of immense challenge and change. And while policymakers focus on global security, we must, all of us, ensure that this never comes at the expense of healthcare. Remember that those of us, yes, society values itself on how it treats its most vulnerable, right? And we believe that people who are living with rare diseases are among the most vulnerable in society. And so, with all of you and all of us and all of you at home, we must make sure that their voices are heard. And that's really important. Europe must show the way, delivering coherent, effective, and long-term health strategies. Without a clear plan, this just won't be sustainable. It can't be done. We won't reach the success that we deserve and that we all of us in this room strive for. There are, however, very encouraging developments, and that's important always to highlight. The European Parliament's SAND Committee is preparing a report in support of a European action plan for rare diseases, and that is expected this summer. Following last year's survey that they conducted, it identified rare diseases as a priority, which is really important and very encouraging and genuinely. In parallel, EURORDIS, thanks to our incredible, remarkable staff and our equally inspirational volunteer members, is really mobilising the intellectual capital of this rare disease community to advocate for structural framework. This year, we convened a core group of experts to advance the work into capitalising on repeated calls from European institutions, including member states, and also the European Parliament and the European Economic and Social Committee, urging the European Commission to take forward a structured approach to rare diseases. With this mandate and the mandate of millions, 30 million people living with rare conditions in Europe, EURORDIS is leading the coordination of a blueprint for rare diseases. I want to express mine and the gratitude of our board, our staff, and our volunteers to all of you, many of you who are in this room today, for participating and contributing with your expertise in making this possible. We have always felt in EURORDIS that you need an engine to drive forward change, and we believe that this is the engine that can do that. This blueprint provides pragmatic recommendations for an EU action plan, but also for Europe, in Europe's contribution to the forthcoming WHO Global Action Plan. And together, we aim to translate shared commitments into actionable measures and tangible outcomes. The collective and the intense work will culminate in the 13th European Conference on Rare Diseases and Orphan Products, which will take place in Prague in June of this year. And I really hope that many of you, if not all of you in the room, will attend that very important meeting. More good news. Last December 2025, not too long ago, we also brought a renewed political momentum with the important discussions taking place and the finalisation of the revision of the European pharmaceutical legislation, securing permanent patient involvement in the European Medicines Agency, and stimulating innovation for the rare conditions. This was incredibly important to the community of rare diseases, which are the experts in their disease and can provide the data that can really make a difference. So enshrining our voice there was a massive, massive opportunity for us, and for one we are really grateful for. Rare diseases are now firmly anchored in major EU initiatives, including the European Life Sciences Strategy and, of course, the proposed Biotech Act. The focus now shall shift from momentum to results. Despite a challenging environment, and we know that it is, for patient organisations in particular across Europe, including the removal of the operating grants, our commitment and our resilience remains strong. Alongside our volunteers and our secretariat at EURORDIS, we continue to use every tool at our disposal and every ounce of the intellectual capital we have as a community to really work hard to sustain the patient voice in advocacy. And that's not easy, certainly not. Let me end in that vein with a call to all of you here this evening, a call for really concrete support. The French government is leading efforts to restore the EU for Health operating grants from 2026. And we really urge and encourage you to back this initiative. At your national level, to talk to your national delegates to do the same, to really advocate for this, because it is a real opportunity for us. It's important to understand that these grants, it's not just about funding. These grants are more than that. They are the foundation of European health democracy, enabling patients and civil society to shape policies and truly meet people's needs. And from the networks of mutual support, collaboration, and awareness. That is essential. By celebrating and really uniting all of our advocates here this evening, all of you in healthcare professions, your policymakers that are here, industry representatives, innovators in so many areas, because rare diseases is one of the most innovative areas of health that exists. It is an exciting area, and we need all of your excitement to drive us forward. And also those of you in the media to find new ways of bringing the stories of people living with rare diseases to the world. They are truly interesting, truly inspiring, and they can bring so much innovation with them. The EURORDIS Black Pearl Awards drive lasting change for people living with rare diseases across all of Europe, and we are an inspiration to our colleagues who live globally. They learn from us, and they want to be part of our network, and many are. And that's important to understand as well. We are deeply grateful to our honorary patrons, our Black Pearl Committee, who work tirelessly to produce this event every year. And we really want to thank our generous donors who make this possible. And we ask you to support us at this, what is a really pivotal opportunity for all of us. So much is happening. So much of it is positive. It's very easy to get dragged into the negativity and the uncertainty and the global challenges that we all face. But ultimately, we have a lot to celebrate, and we should do that. And it is a real honour for all of us in EURORDIS to celebrate all of you tonight and our award winners. Thank you so much for your continued support, and we look forward to working with you on innovative solutions for our community now and in years to come. Thank you very much. Now, I'd really like to take this opportunity to welcome my partner in crime, our Vice President, Simona Belligambi.
Thank you. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really an honor to be here tonight. And tonight, we celebrate excellence, dedication, and progress. The Black Pearl Awards, in fact, are not only a moment of recognition, they are a beacon for the rare disease cause in Europe. Together, we have achieved important milestones of which we should be proud of. But the journey is far from over, and the next steps also depend on the support of our donors. Yes, I'm looking at you in this beautiful venue, but also at you online. The fund raised tonight will support the very core of EURORDIS' mission. They help break the isolation of people living with a rare disease and their families by building strong national, European, and international communities and networks, transforming loneliness into connection and collective strength. They help empower leaders of rare disease communities through training and capacity building. In 2025, through our Open Academy and our partnership with Ardera, 77 patient advocates and young researchers from 27 countries completed 6 months of advanced training in medicine development, innovation, and translational research. Another 20 participants were trained in data management, ethics, and artificial intelligence. More than 1,200 e-learners joined our online modules in 6 languages. This is real capacity building. This is health democracy in action. Your support also strengthens our collective voice and advocacy activity. Thanks to the Rare Barometer survey initiative, EURORDIS can support its robust evidence-based advocacy. The outcomes of the last surveys translated in 25 languages, reaching a panel of over 25,000 people living with rare diseases or family members, representing more than 2,300 diseases across 130 countries, are driving our advocacy for holistic care pathways and policies that truly recognize people's need and address all barriers. Survey outcomes on quality of life, well-being, and psychosocial risks linked to living with rare or undiagnosed diseases will guide EURORDIS advocacy for psychologically informed care. Together, we have supported concrete policy breakthroughs, shaping rare diseases innovation and regulation, from securing a permanent patient vote at the European Medicine Agency's CHMP, to influencing the European Life Sciences Strategy and the Biotech Act, and advancing momentum toward a European Action Plan on Rare Diseases. And we continue to foster a global movement for health and social equity through the Rare Disease Day that we are celebrating in February, alongside 77 national alliances, reaching thousands online and across major international media. All of this is possible because of your generosity. Tonight, I invite you to turn appreciation into action, to invest in community, in knowledge, in evidence, in advocacy. By supporting EURORDIS, you support millions of people who are still waiting for faster diagnosis, more and accessible treatments, and fairer lives. Together, we can achieve far more than we can imagine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much, Avril and Simona. Speaking there about breaking the isolation of people living with rare diseases and for their families too, to empowering community leaders through capacity building and raising public awareness through international communications campaigns. To support EURORDIS work and to elevate the voice of patient community across diseases and countries, ensuring that rare disease communities are not only consulted but influential in driving better, more equitable policies and care in Europe. You can make a pledge this evening by scanning the QR code or visiting the URL displayed on the screen. For those joining us online, the URL is also shared in the chat there. And if you're here in the room, you can simply complete one of those little pledge cards, the little black cards that you've got on your tables there, and hand them to a EURORDIS team member. Thank you in advance for your generosity and support, because every contribution makes a difference. Now let's have some messages that we are receiving here from our online folk. We've got here, hey, I'm from Latvia. Can we put that message back up? Thank you. This is the first time seeing this award event. Well, you're very, very welcome. I wanted to do it in the past, but wasn't able due to different circumstances. This year, I finally can. Well, you are so welcome, and any others who are joining us this evening. Foundation HS from Poland, congratulations to the award winners, they say. Thank you very much there, all the way from Poland. And hi, everyone. Lindsay from London, UK. Really happy to finally be able to join us this year. Thank you, Lindsay. Are we done? Yeah, that looks like we're done. Okay, now I'm now pleased to take a moment. With the several auditions now, we've introduced two very special categories where our audience, the rare disease community, and the various stakeholders have the unique power to choose the winner tonight. These are for the Social Media Award and for the Photo Award. So you guys here and you guys online get a chance to vote for the winner. Voting in both categories is still open and will close sharply at 9 p.m. Central European Time, so make sure that you cast your votes before then. Every vote counts, and it's such a wonderful way to show your support to these inspiring finalists. Let's start with the EURORDIS Social Media Award, for which you can access the voting form by either scanning the QR code behind me, as you can see there, or by clicking the link that's in the chat there online. We do have the pleasure of having 2 out of the 3 finalists of this award in the room joining us this evening. Michael Lanza from Italy, welcome, and Tilly Rose from the United Kingdom. And Julia Marquardt from Germany is joining us from home. Let's give them a round of applause. There they are, being specially lit for us. Now let's take a look at their short videos together to get a glimpse of who they are and the amazing work that they've been doing to raise awareness of rare disease.
Hello everyone out there, I am Julia. I am a working mom from Germany. I have deformed hands and no legs. And this is my life.
Sono Michael Lanza e sono affetto da epidermolisi bollosa distrofica. Sono uno dei 3 finalisti europei per il premio sulla sensibilizzazione delle malattie rare. Sono un content creator e sì, mi occupo proprio di questo, di malattie rare. Convivo con una malattia che è considerata tra le più brutali al mondo. Una malattia che prima ti dà tutto e poi, piano piano, se lo riprende, con dolori fisici veri, quotidiani, stile film. Qui è tutta realtà. Nel mio caso a un certo punto si è presa anche una mano, letteralmente, come vedete. Eppure sono ancora qui a parlare, a fare rumore, a usare i social per dare voce a chi di voce non ne ha. Ve la chiudo con il mio motto: sono raro, mica rotto. Ciao.
Wow. What wonderful finalists. And we'll find out who the winner is at the end of the ceremony. If you haven't had a chance to scan the QR code or submit your votes yet, you can do so right now with the slide there. You can see it there. And online, you've got that URL link in the chat. Now we move on to the second category that's open to public voting this evening, the EURORDIS Photo Award. This award is a wonderful opportunity for people from across the globe to visually express what it's like to live with a rare disease and to share those personal stories with the wider rare disease community and beyond through powerful photographs reflecting resilience, strength, and connection. From all the entries received, we've shortlisted 6 photos. They've been selected, and now it's up to you to help decide who'll take this award home. Let's have one last look at the 6 brilliant finalists selected by our very own expert judge and world-renowned photographer, Marcus Bleasdale. So number 1 is A Helping Hand featuring Rett syndrome from the Czech Republic, Peter Hryko. The second photo is At the Centre of the Circle, featuring rare neuromuscular disease from Turkey, Fatih Yilmaz. Number 3, Joy Triumphs, featuring chromosome deletion from the Netherlands, Joram Blomqvist. Number 4, My Lonesome Self, featuring progeria from Guyana, Christabel St. Hill Gray. Number 5, 100 kilometres away from Care, featuring Waardenburg syndrome from India, Anindya Fani. And finally, number 6, Princesses of the Light, featuring Xeroderma pigmentosum from Algeria, Mohamed Habib Ala Nahi. A heartfelt thank you to everyone who contributed their photos. Each one truly shines a light on the rare disease community that you are featuring. It's now time to begin announcing this year's award recipients. And we start with the Policymaker Award, which honours leaders whose vision and dedication have made a real and lasting difference in the lives of people living with rare disease. To introduce this category, I'm delighted to be joined on stage by EURORDIS Deputy General Secretary and Chairperson of Rare Diseases Czech Republic. Please welcome Anna Arlenosova.
Good evening. It's my great pleasure to announce the EURORDIS Policymaker Award 2026. It goes to my dear friend and colleague, Mr. Jakub Dvořáček. A few words about Jakub. Jakub began his career in Czech non-profit organizations at home and abroad, helping build a world where cultural and ethnic differences are a strength, not a source of conflict. Later, when representing the pharmaceutical sector, he played a key role in founding the Academy of Patient Organizations, empowering patients to become informed and valued partners. His push for the legal recognition of patient organizations in the HTA process for orphan drugs resulted in landmark legislation that firmly anchored patient involvement in the Czech healthcare system. 4 years ago, he became Czech Deputy Minister of Health, and during the 2022 Czech EU presidency, he organized the Expert Conference on Rare Diseases, where an inspiring call to action laid a groundwork for European Action Plan. His vision for EU collaboration has shaped innovative policy solutions at both the WHO and EU levels, improving access to medicines for people with rare diseases across Europe. His tireless work continues today as he builds support for an EU action plan for rare diseases and helps prepare the launch of a European blueprint at the upcoming ECRD conference in Prague in June. Thanks to his leadership, patient voices are not only heard, they have become central to decision-making, leaving a lasting legacy of collaboration, compassion, and progress for our community in my own country and across Europe. So now, join me in welcoming to the stage the recipient of the EURORDIS Policy Award 2026, Mr. Jakub Dvořáček.
Thank you. I have to say, I have a speech prepared here. But before I start the speech I prepared, I have to say, I always have question if I really deserve it, because I was just at the right time, at the right place, and I always had great people around me. It was not just Anička, but it was so many people at the Czech Republic, but also then, at the European Council, when we get the chance to move with the European legislation. So it's not my award. It's definitely the award of all those people who try to move the agenda of rare disease forward. And we can see it now, in number of new legislative proposals which came through or are nearly done. Doesn't matter if it is the pharmaceutical package or Critical Medicine Act or Biotech Act. There's so many things which are moving. And I'm really so happy that I at least partially get a chance to work on that, not just in Czech Republic, but also at the European level. So, back to my speech. I will try to be fast. I know that we are a bit late. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends from the rare disease community, it's a great honor to stand here today as a recipient of EURORDIS Black Pearl Policymaker Award 2026. My journey toward understanding what people living with rare disease truly need began more than 15 years ago. At that time, I became the director of AIFP. I still see a number of my colleagues from FPA sitting here in this hall, and it was so nice to see them again. So I start with the industry, but where I really learn how to move with the topics which are somehow important is not the industry, but the time I work at the humanitarian and development work. It was not about to building the program for beneficiaries around Africa or Asia. It was mainly to listen what the people needs, and that was my main learning that time. And I tried that learning to move at the agenda which I then had in the Czech Republic when we start to build the patient academy. And thanks to Anička and René, but also the Jana Hlaváčová and many other people from the Czech Republic who were at the beginning of Patient Academy, Zuzka Komárková and many others. We then moved to something very special. We built the special department, the Ministry of Health, which supports the patient organization. And then the final step, it was a creation of Patient Council of the Ministry of Health at the Czech Republic. So we really built step by step the structure, which includes the patient inside of the development of any legislation in the Czech Republic. And then from that, I don't know how that happened, I get the chance to work for the Ministry of Health, and directly from the industry I stepped to the administration, and I became the State Secretary at the Ministry of Health. And luckily, again, it was the time when the Czech Republic keeps the presidency. So this is the mixture of the opportunity, right time, right people around. We get the chance to raise again the question of the rare disease plan for the Europe. We didn't succeed it yet. I believe it's still in front of us. We have to do everything to move it forward. But as I mentioned before, we have a number of new legislation which is already there. We have to build on that, and I believe, if the patient organizations, state sector, and the industry will work together, we will achieve what we want. And it's the equal access of people with rare diseases for the treatment which is available. And I believe, that's what we want, all of us here in this hall. At the end, let me thanks to all the people around. I would love to mention one more person, I forget about it. It's Karen Facey, the Professor Karen Facey from the UK. She was our inspiration to involve patient in the decision-making process. She's really working tirelessly on the topic, publishing again and again all the examples around the world, how to have patients inside of the legislation process, reimbursement process, and so on. But at the end, let me thank to all of you, because as I said at the beginning, this award belongs to patient organization in the Czech Republic, the great people at the Ministry of Health who really wants to move this topic forward, and the people which I get chance to meet at the European level. Doesn't matter if it is the European Commission or the Council itself. There are people who want to support the patient groups, the rare disease area, and I believe we will achieve it, this new plan very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Jacob. So we now turn to the EURORDIS Leadership Award, recognising leaders whose outstanding service has profoundly shaped the rare disease community. Since joining the European Economic and Social Committee, known as the EESC, in 2004, this year's recipient has made an outstanding contribution to advancing the work of the institution and was founding member of its ethical committee. In 2009, she became the first EESC rapporteur to present an opinion dedicated to rare diseases, laying the foundation for European action in this field. She later went on to support key initiatives, including the 2022 opinion on strengthening European solidarity for people living with rare diseases. In recent years, she has played a central role in major international rare disease conferences, helping to build momentum and strengthen dialogue across Europe. And she served as rapporteur for an exploratory opinion on leaving no one behind, European commitment to tackling rare diseases. A determined advocate, she has championed the creation of a comprehensive European action plan on rare diseases with clear, measurable targets by 2030. Following her recommendation, medicines for rare diseases were introduced in the EESC opinion on the Critical Medicines Act. Her work has gained strong support at a European level, and in 2024, the Council of the European Union on Employment, Social Policy, Health and Consumer Affairs recommended that the European Commission develop an action plan on rare diseases. Through her tireless work and leadership and commitment, she has ensured that the voices of people living with rare diseases are heard at the highest levels. Please welcome to the stage this year's outstanding recipient of the EURORDIS Rare Diseases Leadership Award, Dr. Agnes Chair.
Sorry for my silence, but I cannot speak without strong emotions. First of all, I would like to thank for the Leadership Award from EURORDIS. This is a great honor for me. 30 years ago, I was the Director General of the Hungarian Social Health Insurance Fund, and I got a letter from a university clinic doctor who asked for more money from my special budget for the treatment of a young boy. They ran out, but the boy was still ill. As a mother and grandmother, I felt compassion and immediately understood the vulnerability of the young patient and his family. There was no question to finance the young boy's treatment. At that time, the rare diseases were not recognized and financed within the healthcare system. In 2009, in the European Economic and Social Committee, EEC, I could be the first to make the first opinion for rare disease patients with strong commitment and a strong sense of justice. I am really proud of my initiative to dedicate a European Day for rare disease patients to focus on them. And as we heard, and now we are here together to celebrate this day. Let me warmly welcome Bajba Miltovica, the former EAC 10 section president, and Agota Basic, acting head of unit. Thanks to them, and Beatrice Porres, the former head of unit, for their very active coordination and cooperation with all stakeholders to achieve the European Action Plan. The Spanish ALS patient, Hemi Lafitte, showed us that rare disease patients are vulnerable and they need more and better help. He inspired a very successful 2023 Bilbao EEC conference involving all stakeholders, and thanks Enrique Terol as well. In Bilbao, I met the doctor from 30 years ago who became a rare disease professor, and Hemi Lafitte in a wheelchair. There I made a promise to do everything for the rare disease patients and their families. During the 2024 Hungarian presidency, I got a big chance to be the rapporteur of the EEC absolutory opinion, leaving no one behind, European commitment to tackling rare diseases, and to be the host of the highly successful Rare Disease Conference in Budapest. Let me tell what is my main goal. I am very proud of our strong cooperation with EURORDIS and the European Parliament. At our joint conference in 2025, I asked them to support my proposal to designate 2026 as the year of the rare disease patients. It seems 2027 will be that year. My main goal is to push the EU Commission to have a rare disease action plan. Why? It's very important information, all of you. The EU Council has a decision requiring the EU Commission for an action plan for rare disease patients, but the President of the Commission omitted this mandatory task from the mission letter of Commissioner Mr. Varhey. I not only hope, but I am sure that together with EURORDIS involving all the stakeholders, we will achieve the rare disease action plan from the EU Commission. Let me finish with one of my main goals. A real European health union, a union in which no one is left behind, and where solidarity and security are guaranteed for all, including every person living with rare diseases and their families. Thank you so much.
Agnes Chair, thank you so much. Okay, so following the remarkable example of leadership that we've just seen there, we now turn to another award that highlights the power of the individual voice in shaping change, one that reminds us that advocacy comes at every age. The EURORDIS Young Advocate Award is presented each year to an outstanding young person who actively raises awareness of key issues affecting people living with rare diseases. This year, we're proud to recognise Jakub Gietka. As founder and president of the Aiming for the Future Foundation, established in Poland in 2022, Jakub Gietka has transformed lived experience into impactful advocacy. Through his foundation, he has turned complex social and policy issues into actionable tools, most notably with Poland's first financial literary guide tailored for people with disabilities. He also plays a pivotal role in shaping inclusive systems at both national and European levels. He advises the Polish Ombudsman on the rights of persons with disabilities and represents Poland at the European Parliament of Persons with Disabilities. Wowza. This award celebrates his important contributions to key European rare disease bodies, including the EURORDIS Social Policy Action Group, the SMA Europe Adult Committee, and the ERN Youth Panel. Recognised internationally as an AstraZeneca Young Health Programme Impact Fellow, he exemplifies how youth leadership can drive systemic change and more equitable future for the rare disease community. Join me in welcoming to the stage our 2026 EURORDIS Young Advocate Award recipient, Jakub Gietka.
Thank you to EURORDIS, to the jury, and to everyone here. This evening, it is an honor to be in this room with so many people who shape the rare disease community from so many different angles: patient organizations, clinicians, researchers, policymakers, and partners. I want to keep this simple. 3 things brought me here: God, my great-grandmother, and the promise. First, God. I was born with spinal muscular atrophy. Very early, my parents were told I probably would not live to see my 6th birthday. When your life starts with such a sentence, you learn to live differently. You stop postponing, meaning you start asking what you are here for. Faith did not remove suffering. It gave me direction. There is a sentence I return to often: as a man thinketh, so is he, or I always adjust it slightly: as a person thinketh, so are they. Because before any system changes, before any policy becomes real, everything begins in the mind. Faith taught me that prognosis is not identity. It is information. Purpose is a choice. Second, my great-grandmother, she used to look at me with complete seriousness and say, "This boy is a genius. You must help him." For a long time, I thought that was simply love speaking. But tonight, I can almost imagine her somewhere above this room, smiling and saying, "You see, I told you." Third, a promise. For many years, my education did not happen in a classroom. My first school had 1 pupil, me. A teacher would come to our home for a few hours, leave notebooks on the table, and then the door would close again. You learn to measure time in arrivals and departures, and in the silence in between. Years later, I understood something that matters beyond my own story. In rare diseases, one of the rarest things is clarity at the right time. Someone who tells you calmly and precisely what comes next, what your rights are, where to go, what support exists. So you do not spend the first weeks after diagnosis in informational darkness, trying to build a map while your life is already shaking. I remember a case that stays with me. A 5-year-old boy with multiple rare diseases. His mother did not know she could receive public support for a wheelchair. Nobody had told her, not even the doctors. It was a missing pathway, a system where information does not reliably reach the people who need it most. That moment shaped my promise. This is also why I created 10 steps after diagnosis. Not to tell people to be strong. People are already strong. to make their path easier to manage, to turn anxiety into orientation, because the first condition of independence is not motivation, it is understanding. I founded Aiming for the Future Foundation to turn that missing pathway into something real. The 10 steps after diagnosis is one part of it, but the goal is bigger. We support people with disabilities and rare diseases to live more independently by translating rights into practical action. We build guidance that is usable in real life. We run education and peer support, so families do not have to learn everything alone. And we advocate for independence as a standard, not a privilege. We focus on the everyday mechanics of freedom, information that arrives on time, services that can be accessed, and systems that treat people as decision makers in their own lives. This award does not feel like an ending to me. It feels like responsibility. Responsibility to build better systems than the ones I inherited. Systems that treat patients as partners, not as paperwork. Systems where young people are not invited only to share a story, but to co-create solutions. Let me finish with one thought. Tomorrow morning, the clock resets. The applause disappears. Titles stop mattering. What remains is a simple question. What will we do next? In rare disease, we speak a lot about innovation, strategies, and progress. All of it matters, but dignity often depends on something much simpler. Whether the system is understandable at the exact moment it is needed. Because for someone, somewhere, that moment is not theoretical, it is today. Thank you.
Jakub Gietka, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And now we come to the EURORDIS Holistic Care Award, celebrating teams or organisations that provide truly coordinated person-centred care, supporting the whole well-being of people living with rare diseases and their families, with patients as active partners in every step, as Jakub has just said there. This year, we're very proud to recognise the Bulgarian Huntington Association Support Centre for Families with Rare Diagnoses in Sofia. Their work is a shining example of how collaboration and a multidisciplinary approach can truly transform lives. Since its founding in 2015, the Support Centre has been a pioneer of integrated care for people living with rare conditions, supporting patients and families not only medically, but also psychologically, socially, and educationally. Their approach empowers independence, builds resilience, and strengthens inclusion. Through their tailored services, from psychosocial counselling and rehabilitation therapies to care coordination and life skills training, multidisciplinary teams of psychologists, social workers and therapists and patient advocates create personalised care plans adapted to each individual. Families and caregivers are also key partners, receiving guidance, training and peer support. But their impact doesn't stop there. The centre also leads advocacy efforts, raises awareness and fosters community partnerships, helping to build a more inclusive society for people living with a rare disease. This award honours the Support Centre's person-centred model, serving as an inspiring example for the rare disease community worldwide. Accepting the award on behalf of the Support Centre for Families with Rare Diagnoses, please welcome to the stage Natalia Grigorova.
Good evening, everyone. Dear guests, dear EURORDIS team, it is an incredible honor to stand here tonight and share this moment with you. Receiving this award means more than recognition. It means visibility, legitimacy, and hope. But let me take you back to where it all began. In 2013, we met Stefan, a man living with Huntington's disease. He was in urgent need of support. His physical and mental condition were worsening rapidly, and his wife and child were struggling alongside him. The disease was not affecting just one person. It was affecting an entire family. That moment changed everything for us. Together with his family, we decided that no one facing a rare disease should be left alone without psychosocial support. In 2015, we launched our first home-based therapeutic program for people living with rare diseases. Very quickly, we realized something profound. One initiative was not enough. The needs were far greater. Families across Bulgaria were living isolated, exhausted, and invisible. So we made a bold decision to build something bigger, to create a place of comprehensive care. A place where people living with rare diseases and their families could receive integrated psychosocial support, rehabilitation, and dignity. The journey was long and far from easy. Temporary funding, thousands of hours of volunteer work, endless meetings with institutions, closed doors, rejection, advocacy, persistence. But we also had something stronger than any obstacle, the trust of our community. Little by little, policymakers began to listen. They began to understand that psychosocial support is not optional, it is essential. That nearly 500,000 people living with rare diseases in Bulgaria deserve structured, state-recognized holistic care. And today, our center is an accredited and publicly funded specialized social service. Looking back, I do not regret a single step. It was worth it. It was worth it to see lives stabilized, to see families flourish, to see hope replace isolation. I dedicate these awards to the families that we are supporting and to my team. I also dedicate this award to my family, my dear husband and my son, who stood beside me through every doubt, every tear, and every small victory. But tonight, I want to say something more. This award is not only about Bulgaria. My dream is that every country in Europe and beyond will have a center like ours, a safe place for families living with rare diseases, a structured, recognized, integrated model of holistic support. Let us move from recognition to replication, from pilot projects to national standards, from temporary funding to sustainable systems. Let us make holistic care a guaranteed component of rare disease strategies in every country. Let us build a Europe where no family facing a rare disease stands alone, because no diagnosis should ever mean isolation. Thank you, EURORDIS, for this outstanding award.
Natalia Grigorova. And now we're ready for our first performance of this evening. You guys are going to love this. We're truly honoured to welcome one of the most extraordinary horn players of our time, Felix Klieser, to the stage. Born without arms, Felix began playing the horn at just 5 years old, and by the age of 13 was already a junior student at the University of Music and Theatre in Hanover. His exceptional talent has earned him major international recognition, including the Echo Classic Young Artist of the Year, the Leonard Bernstein Award, and the Music Award from the Association of German Concert Directors. He's performed with leading orchestras across the globe and at iconic venues such as the BBC Proms at the Royal Albert Hall, the Concert Gebouw in Amsterdam, and Berlin Philharmonia. and even made his debut at the Ravenna Festival at the invitation of Riccardo Muti. Felix is celebrated for performances that combine technical brilliance, expressive depth, and a uniquely compelling musical voice. A dedicated recording artist and author of his autobiography Footnotes, he also serves as Professor of Horn at Munster University of Music, inspiring a new generation of musicians. Through his artistry and remarkable advocacy, Felix continues to redefine what is possible in classical performance, demonstrating that excellence knows no limits. Please welcome to the stage Felix Klieser. Kleser. Felix. Now, I'm imagining you, aged 5. What made you choose this instrument? I mean, it's not the easiest instrument, right?
Yes, but I didn't know this when I was 5, so that was a problem. Oh, well, you know, this is a good question because I grew up in a family, no one was making music and no one was playing an instrument, even for Christmas, no one was playing some Christmas song. So I went to my parents and told them I want to learn the French horn, and my parents looked at me and asked
But why
me,
the French horn?
well, that's a problem, I don't know. This is the reason why I always tell the other story. I went to my parents and told them I want to learn the French horn, and they looked at me and said, what do you mean with the French horn? How does it look like? And is it like a trumpet or something like this? And then I've shown them what a French horn is, but where I've seen the instrument the very first time and where I got in contact with the instrument, it's a little miracle until today.
And at age 5, obviously there would have been the adaptations that would have to be made. Were people around you positive, like the teachers and the school that you were studying, were they positive about making those changes?
Well, the point is now you can see, I'm a professional musician, I'm earning my money with it. But when you start at the age of 5 with whatever you are doing, then it's just something you're doing for fun. You play football for fun, you play music for fun. So there was no pressure, or there was never the idea to make more than just having a little bit fun with playing your instrument. This was coming much later. So at the very beginning it was just to try to play a note, try to play a different note, try to combine the notes. Very simple, very easy. And if I would be just able to do these things, everyone would be happy. But I made a little bit more.
Yeah, incredible. And you are now a professor teaching other students. Are more students coming through with disability?
Well, for me, people are dividing between disabilities and not disabilities. I think the disability is nothing more than a weakness you can see. Everyone has a weakness, and if someone is coming to me and has a real problem with the rhythm feeling, then it's a disability, especially for a musician.
As a vocal coach, I confirm that's true.
It's a real disability, and so in the end, we all have our weaknesses. But the beautiful thing about our personalities is that we can change more things than we maybe sing. And when you believe in that you can change things with yourself in your life, and maybe for other people, and when you understand how this is possible, then there are many possibilities.
You're an absolute inspiration. Ladies and gentlemen, Felix Kleser, thank you.
Very much.
We will be hearing from Felix a little bit later. Now, here in Brussels, it's time to take a short break and enjoy our main course of our dinner. And for those joining us online, there will be the opportunity to listen to some very special messages of support for the rare disease community, including some from our honorary patrons. We'll be back in just a little while after our main course is gone. Please enjoy the meal or enjoy the video, depending on what you're up to. Thank you.